ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the world of V-Gaming Junkie News. The Dross got on the receiving end of a blood dragon, so there's nothing but pure gaming-related meatiness. It is all about the electronic good stuff as we dive deep in all that's new in the various interactive virtual worlds. Starting off, we have more hypocrisy on the part of the entertainment industry. With how many people complained about so much as showing the outline of a woman's chest through armor, the Halo TV series decides to show a little more of Masterchief. Not content with just showing his face, they decide to show off his glutes too. Mind you, it isn't that I have a problem with, but the double standard that has been cropping up lately. It's okay to comment on a male character's parts, but heaven help you if you do the same with a female character. This might be a silly thing to criticize, but it just shows how fake the outrage actually is. Although in the case of the Halo TV series, it's appropriate because it's been the butt of the internet's mockery for a while now. So far, it seems it'll stand as another example of how not to do an adaptation. Yep, it's yet another one for the massive pile of failures, no ifs, ands, but plenty of buts. And speaking of video game to TV show adaptations that I don't really have any faith in, there's a new bit of information about The Last of Us TV show. Don't worry though, I'm sure it'll be completely faithful to the video game original and not include anything that would anger fans. Oh wait, Pedro Pascal has already said he's deliberately avoiding seeing the games because he doesn't want to imitate Joel. You heard right, the guy playing as Joel doesn't want to actually be like Joel. Adding to it that things won't go necessarily as you expect, I really don't have high hopes for this. The Last of Us 2 already left a sour taste in many people's mouths over how it portrayed Joel, and TV adaptations tend to not go well for those expecting faithfulness. That's the beauty of setting your expectations low, though. If it turns out to be any kind of good, you might end up pleasantly surprised. And in the very likely event it goes poorly, you won't have hoped in vain. Now, as much as it may seem otherwise, I really don't like being cynical, but this industry seems to love making it inevitable. I dream of a world where this isn't the case, but what can you do? And so Hideo Kojima has confirmed his studio will not be bought out by Sony. At least not right now. It seems there was some confusion when Kojima's Twitter account posted a PlayStation Studios banner that had Sam Bridges from Death Stranding on it. That's quite a conclusion to be drawn from that, since he was clearly just spreading the promotion of his own game, but you know how assumptions can be. He clarified, however, stating that it will remain an independent studio. It's probably for the best. Sony and Microsoft have been in an arms race recently trying to buy up companies that really threatens the future of multi-platform gaming, which definitely isn't good for the customer. Given Sony's hostility towards crossplay, though, perhaps it's to be expected. It's worth noting, however, that Sony does own the Death Stranding IP, but that doesn't mean Sony owns Kojima's company. It's kind of like how Nintendo owns Bayonetta 2 since they funded it, but that doesn't mean they own Platinum Games. And speaking of the major console makers, Microsoft is planning to bring in-game ads into free-to-play games. Sony has since made a similar statement, basically announcing they'll be doing the same thing. While this sounds objectionable, and if it was in full-price games I would be objecting fully, I'm sort of okay with this. If it's an option to make some decent games free while also having a way to pay for the development, I don't see a big problem with that. Maybe do what some games do and have you pay to get rid of the ads if you so choose to. Sadly, though, I suspect the feature will roll out in fully priced video games eventually. It'll probably go down like microtransactions. We may resist at first, but then we just accept it as part of how things go. Honestly, it's a bit disappointing how far down we've gone since the days of mocking horse armor in Oblivion. If only we knew just how bad things would turn out now. So, moving back to Hideo Kojima, apparently Metal Gear Solid was supposed to have some kind of pet simulation in it initially. David Hayter, the voice of Solid Snake, mentions a quote by Kojima where he wanted more rats in the game. They'd have individual names that could be raised as pets. What that would actually entail is pretty vague, but I'd like to imagine a Nintendogs but with rats. It certainly would have been fascinating, but perhaps it was better cut off from the game for pacing purposes. At this point though, a game where you raise rats would probably still make a much better Metal Gear spin-off than Survive ever was. Maybe you can name them Rick the Rat or Mickey, or maybe you could just name the big one Bitey. The possibilities could have been endless, but oh well, the series has still mostly been solid enough. So you know how I mentioned Nintendo delaying the release of Advance Wars on the Switch due to the U versus R situation? It looks like someone was still able to play this remake due to it being preloaded onto a Switch. The user in question, named Rachel, was able to play a few missions of it before Nintendo realized their mistake and canceled the purchase with a refund. Seems like a bit of a hasty decision on Nintendo's part, but at least Rachel doesn't seem too upset, saying it was fun while it lasted. As of right now, the game is delayed indefinitely, which I still think is completely unnecessary. It's not like delaying the game is going to help the situation over there in the slightest, but that's just my personal opinion. On to a fluffier subject, Square Enix is coming out with a new Kingdom Hearts game. I know what you're probably thinking. We all know Kingdom Hearts is being worked on, but that's not what I'm referring to. Oh no, my friend, they are working on a mobile game called Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. Unlike the Lost Kingdom Hearts mobile game that's chronologically first in the series, this seems fully 3D and with gameplay very reminiscent of the mainline Kingdom Hearts games. There will be a closed beta, but only in certain locations. If I ever get a chance to play it, I'll most definitely be checking it out because it interests me. I played some of the first one and a fair amount of 358 over 2 days, but I've been interested in getting more into it. Perhaps one of these centuries I'll actually get around to it. It's a promising looking mobile game in any case. And finally, Sonic the Hedgehog 2's opening sales live up to the Blue Hedgehog speed as it blazes past all other video game adaptations. Given that the original was notable for them actually listening to fans and changing a design that was proving very unpopular, I'd say this is a shining example of what happens when you actually listen to your fans. It's become popular nowadays for many news sites to bash on fans. Admittedly, fans of things can be very picky in their needs at times, but then again, so can anyone in a franchise, including those very journalists. I like to think most fans aren't too overbearing in demands. Mostly they just want to know you actually care about the franchise you're sticking your hand into. That you want to actually preserve it, not try to shape it in your own image. There's a huge difference between evolving a franchise and just spinning it in a different direction because you want your own personal art project off of the IP name. I wish more companies would recognize that. If you want full creative freedom, make a new IP. If you want to get brand recognition, that will come with expectations. That's the trade-off here. You can't just get free brand recognition for nothing, you'll just end up killing that brand. Thankfully, the Sonic the Hedgehog movies seem to be doing something right in that regard. And as always, from the page of Games Radar, it's time for the latest round of release dates fresh out of the oven. Starting on the 26th is Dune Spice Wars for PC and the Serpent Rogue for the 4 current platforms. The 27th has MLB The Show for Switch and Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt for PS5. The 28th has Kaiju Wars, Capital Sparks of Revolution, and Trigon Space Story, all for PC. May 4th just has Wildcat Gun Machine. The 5th has Best Month Ever for all major platforms, new and old, Trek to Yomi for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, as well as Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate Demon Hunters for PC. Finally, the 6th has Crowns and Pawns Kingdom of Deceit for PC. This week's epic freebie until next Thursday is a 2-for-1 special. Amnesia Rebirth, the follow-up to the hallucination horror game Amnesia. The other is Riverbound, a co-op adventure game for 1 to 4 players. From the 28th through the 5th of May is 2 more freebies. The first one is Just Die Already, a self-proclaimed old people mayhem sandbox. The second is Paradigm, a surreal point-and-click adventure game. And as you may have expected, that rounds out this news week. I hope you all enjoyed and were well enough informed. And as always, Let's Play every single day, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m, live stream Mondays and Thursdays unless otherwise specified at 4:30 p.m, and I swap between game news and game reviews Fridays at 6 p.m. Of course, that's Eastern Standard Time. You can always subscribe and minigun that bell icon if you don't want to worry about keeping track of time zones. A like is always appreciated for those algorithms, but I just hope you genuinely enjoyed yourself, and that is it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. Spread this video around like the awesome might of the Kill Star, and I will see you next time. Capitalize on life, peace out, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.